What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Today we have another 50 cal for you guys, but this is a unique 50 cal, and it's actually one that I have never tried before. Say hello to the 50 Beowulf. So the 50 Beowulf was released in 2001 and was created by Bill Alexander of Alexander Arms, and it's an interesting cartridge. So the parent case to the 50 Beowulf is the 50 Action Express. You've probably seen Desert Eagles chambered in 50 AE. Very cool guns. Of course, those are pistol rounds, and the Beowulf is a rifle round. So they made it a little longer, gave it a rim job, and out came the 50 Beowulf. It's actually more similar in size to a 500 Magnum than a 50 AE, and apparently very comparable ballistically to a 45-70. So the 50 Beowulf was designed as a short to mid-range beast, essentially. Big, heavy bullet, good at barrier penetration, stuff like that, and originally was advertised as a tactical round, but since its release has become much more common as a hunting round. So that's a brief history on the 50 Beowulf. Cool looking round, and I'm excited to try it. But first, I need to show you the rifle that shoots this little guy, because that is where things really get interesting. And by the way, look at the price tag on this 20 round box of ammo. We are spending some money today, boys. Now, before we get started, I want to thank BFF Firearms for loaning me the 50 Beowulf to make this video. As always, I appreciate their support. And this is the Alexander Arms 50 Beowulf. And I know what you're probably thinking if you've never seen one of these. It looks just like an AR-15. That's because it is. The 50 Beowulf was designed around the AR-15, so it uses the same lower receiver, even the same 5.56 magazines. Of course, it has a bigger barrel and it uses a different bolt. But aside from that, this is just a regular AR. And that is what makes the Beowulf such a unique 50 cal. Now, of course, the magazines will not hold as many rounds as they do with 5.56. I believe a standard AR mag will hold 10 rounds of 50 Beowulf. So I'll go ahead and try and pop one in here so you guys can see it. You kind of have to load them butt first like you do with pistol mags, but you can see that giant 50 Beowulf does fit in a 5.56 mag. So we've got the rifle, we've got the ammo, and I have never shot a 50 Beowulf in my life, so I'm excited. Let's go try it. All right, my very first time ever shooting the 50 Beowulf right here. Let's see what this beast is all about. I like that. It's got some recoil for sure. Woo! Okay, so let's talk about the recoil because that kind of surprised me. So at the shop, they told me that it was similar to a 308, and that was a lie.
That was a lie.
Definitely more recoil than an AR-10. It is not painful, but it's just very powerful. It kind of reminds me of a 45-70, but getting that much recoil out of an AR-15 is an interesting experience. I like it. These are the 300 grain FTX rounds. It's the only ammo that I have, and they are pretty lightweight for a 50 Beowulf, so I assume they're pretty hot. Let's do another magazine dump. I love it! So I was doing some research on the 50 Beowulf, as I usually do when I make videos on calibers I have no experience with, and one thing I found hilarious is, well, first of all, you would not look at that cartridge and think of it as a long-range caliber, but if you were to shoot this at 300 yards, it is gonna drop 50 inches by the time it hits the target. That is a big holdover, but on the flip side of that, with the right ammo, these can hit the target with more than 2,800 foot-pounds of kinetic energy. That's a lot, so at close range, I would imagine the 50 Beowulf is very effective. Let's take a look at how hard these giant bullets are hitting my steel targets. I'm gonna go for that yellow gong. God. So we've had some big old guns out here, but that might be the hardest impact I've ever seen on the yellow gong. It literally flipped it completely around. Whew. Well, I got this giant can of chocolate pudding about 2 months ago, and it's been in my truck ever since. Let's see what the 50 Beowulf can do to this thing. It's gonna be gross. Oh! That is disgusting. So I underestimated the holdover required at that close range, and the first one went straight through our table underneath the pudding. At first, I thought it just went through and didn't do anything, but then I brought it up and clearly I was wrong. The most tragic part of all of this is my camera that just got covered in rotten chocolate pudding. That sucks. And then our table over here kind of looks like my bathroom after I eat Taco Bell. Just disgusting. Our pudding can ended up all the way over here, probably 8 to 10 feet from the table. Well, I was hoping to see an entrance hole and an exit hole, but the entire thing is just completely blown apart. It looks like that might be where it went in right there, and then it curved and exited out the bottom and just completely exploded that entire pudding can. I'm not gonna lie, that is not what I expected. I thought we would get an entrance hole and then maybe a big exit hole, but that was way more dramatic than I thought it would be. And when it exited out the bottom of that pudding can, look at the hole that 50 Beowulf put in our table. That's a lot of damage. Let's try and clean it off with some 2 liters. I cannot even tell you how happy I am right now. This gun absolutely rules. Once again, I've shot a lot of 2 liters on this channel and I've never seen a result quite like this. Not only are they blown open, they're completely blown apart into several pieces. Look at this one. That is a 50 Beowulf 2 liter right there. And I was joking when I said, let's clean the table off with some 2 liters, but it kind of worked. That is how much force that liquid had coming out of those pop bottles. It cleaned our table. Well, I am having a blast mag dumping into garbage with the 50 Beowulf, and I could literally do this all day long. But really quick, I want to chronograph these rounds. When I looked it up, most of the ballistics that I saw were on the heavier loads, and the ones we have are quite a bit lighter. So these are the 300 grain FTX. I have 3 of them in here, chronograph on the table, and I want to see how fast these little guys are going. I think the 50 Beowulf usually lands between 15 and 1800 feet per second, so let's see what these do. 1852. Wow. 1860 and 1828. Not bad. So obviously the velocity isn't as high as some smaller rifle calibers, but when you take a giant bullet like that and launch it at nearly 2,000 feet per second, the energy on target is gonna be significant. And that's why the 50 Beowulf is so dang powerful. Let's go ahead and put one of these big suckers in ballistic shell. We have a gummy bear from Clear Ballistics laying down on our table, so we have more room to hopefully stop it. We're gonna shoot it up his butt and see what happens. It'll probably still go through, but we're gonna try. I figured that would happen. Well, the 50 Beowulf is a big, heavy bullet, so of course I did expect it to go all the way through, but our gummy bear actually fell off the table. You can see him laying on the ground right there, but this is a very, very impressive result. Again, we put that bullet right up the tailpipe, and almost immediately it just started going absolutely crazy. I would say that wound cavity is probably 2.5 inches wide within the first 2 inches of ballistic shell. There are bullet fragments everywhere, a lot more damage than I was expecting, even from the 50 Beowulf. It kept going, more bullet fragments. There is our red tip right in between his arms, and it probably didn't even slow down. Kept going and exited out the top of his head. That'll give him something to think about. So that kind of shows you why the 50 Beowulf is a popular hunting round. Just look at the damage in the ballistic shell. Wow. All right, guys, that is our first video on the 50 Beowulf. I really don't know what else to say other than wow. This thing genuinely impressed me, and I usually don't watch videos on stuff that I'm gonna make a video on because I wanna be surprised and find out for myself. So I had no idea that the 50 Beowulf was that powerful. This thing rules. The recoil is not like an elephant gun that could injure you if you don't know what you're doing, but it definitely kicks the shoulder, and it's just a ton of fun to shoot. It kind of hits that sweet spot for me in terms of recoil because it lets you know that you're holding on to a beast. I love shooting guns like this. You might have noticed the beautiful hoodie that I'm wearing today. This is our first run of merch I've been working on for you guys. It has taken so long, but I wanted to do it right, and we're finally near the finish line. So keep an eye out for that. Of course, I will give you an update very soon when the store opens up and you can actually go get it. I could not be any happier with it. The quality is amazing, which was my main concern, and I'm excited for you guys to finally see it. I hope you all enjoyed the 50 Beowulf as much as I did. Again, it's amazing, it's awesome. I highly recommend it, and I'm seriously considering buying one for myself. So if you did like the video, let me know down in the comments below. As always, hit that like button for me, guys. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.